Anyway, I think we've reached a point now where we need to move a bit more quickly on this last section, which are these 4 lower boxes here. Okay? Now, these are all wet into wet, but we're also using glazing, which we did up here as well, but we're going to use the 4 boxes down the bottom to, and use them with the 2 colours to create a sort of an area of sky, imaginary sky. Now you can copy Leslie Worth's picture if you want to, just the top of it. So you can recreate this picture. I'm going to move the board slightly across. I'm just going to copy the top part of this sky area here. I'm just going to copy it down the bottom. So I'm going to start by putting water over the whole of those 4 squares at the bottom, or rectangles. So if you'd like to do the same.
I need to get clean water.
So these rectangles at the bottom, yes? And if you just apply water over all of them as quickly as you can.
Sorry.
Right, and again, I would suggest that you lightly blot them, because otherwise it's going to be too wet. If you look at it from the side on your own, you can see how shiny it is, the wet on the paper. It's pretty wet. And then in your own time, start with, I'm going to personally start with the blue. So I'm going to start with a shape to represent that sort of blue in the middle of the sky at the top of the picture. And then down the bottom here, I'm also going to paint blue.
Aren't you doing that sort of V at the top there, Sue, at all?
Well, this is it. The tape's going through it, but this is just, an exercise, so it's not going to be absolutely identical to what he's done there.
But you just pointed to what you're actually painting at the moment, the first one. Yes.
Okay. I'm just doing a rough copy of this, just to get where the colours go and where they overlap and what they're going to look like when they do overlap. So I'm now ready to start putting my brown in. Need to wash my brush, make sure it's really clean again. And I'm going to apply brown here. Now, if it runs into the blue, that's fine, but don't deliberately touch the blue at the moment.
Don't understand.
And then up the other side. And then while we're waiting for that to dry a bit, because it's a bit too wet to layer any more colour on, I want you to take the brown that's on your brush, and or you can add a bit more if you wish, and just paint in that first top rectangle some paint that goes over both the blue and the initial brown that you put on at the beginning. Go over the blue and the brown.
With what?
In the first rectangle, I just used up what brown was left on my brush, and I've gone over the initial brown wash and the blue wash that I put over it a little earlier on. I've gone over it all with the brown, second wash of brown. Okay.
Sue?
Yes.
Just to let you know, I've got a really unstable internet connection, so I keep losing you.
Okay.
If you turn off your video, Angela, it will improve the quality that you get of everything else.
Okay.
You turn off your video so we can't see you, but you'll see Sue. And hopefully that will help.
Would you just show where you did the last part, please, Sue?
That very first rectangle,
Yes.
I went over it with a wash of brown, second wash of brown, and it went over the brown that was dry underneath and the blue, okay? Now, it's worth making a note here that you can put 2 in a circle, because that means your second wash was blue, and 3 in a circle, that means the third wash was brown. And okay, has everybody got that?
Yes.
And like I said previously, obviously overlaying with the same colour to get a darker version of that colour, rather than sort of feeling you've got to mix it. You don't have to mix it. I think what's also lovely and what you should be discovering is that the range, the amazing range of colour you can get out of just using 2 colours.
And that colour brown on the right hand side, is that an entirely different colour? No, not there on the actual picture of
Oh, here.
yes.
Yeah, no, I think he's put some, I actually think he may have put some blue into the brown to create it, because do you remember when we were mixing it, some people said, oh, mine's going too brown.
Yes.
I think he's used the same 2 colours, but he's actually added a bit more blue into it.
Thank you.
In the book, it says that he used.
Don't confuse them, Sel. Don't confuse them, because I'll spend a lot of time working these colours out, and
Okay.
I know Leslie Worth has used slightly different colours, but it doesn't. It all comes out the same in the end. Okay.
So the top left-hand corner has got 3 layers. Is that right?
Yes. The first one was wash 1 was BR, brown. Wash 2 was blue. Wash 3 was brown. Okay. Now, go back into your blue with your brush, providing it's clean. You've cleaned it first. And we're going to add a bit more blue over this sky area. You don't need a lot. And I'm going to use a dry brush as well to just soften the edge of it. So if you'd like to do the same, if you've got a dry brush handy, just soften where it meets the light blue underneath. on the edge. So when you put it down, it looks a bit hard and strong. So I would just, I've dropped the colour in, and then with my dry brush or clean brush, other one, my other little brush, I'm just softening the edge of it. And down the bottom here, we're going to wash your brush out. We're going to give it a coat of brown on this bottom bit, on the bottom of the 4 rectangles. And you can leave a bit of the blue underneath if you want to, so it looks more like this. And again, if you want to soften it with a dry brush at the top, you can.
What are you doing now? Sorry.
I'm putting brown over the bottom of the 4 rectangles, and I also said that you can soften. I've got 2 brushes in my hand, so this dry one I'm just using to soften the edges of the where it's at the top a bit. It's still a little bit on the wet side, but it seems to be working. So I'm doing some further wet into wet, basically. And you can also take it over the brown, so you get the sense of it glazing over the top of the brown as well. And similar thing in this last one. Right. Now, ideally, if we had well, in fact, if you've done that, there's just one last thing we can do, is we need to put some more blue over the top of this second rectangle. So wash your brush and go back into the blue again and just give it a 3rd wash. So some of the blue goes over the dry blue underneath, and some of it goes over the brown.
Oh, God. So I'm just conscious of time.
Yes, I'm just going to say something now. Okay, now it's very wet, this bottom band, and I would, I'd encourage you to do a little bit more on it before you call it finished and take the tapes off. I think it needs another wash of blue over this whole of the bottom bit here. But I'll leave it up to you to play around with. If you do it when it's too wet, it just won't do anything. You have to wait until it's sort of semi-dry, but not totally dry. Probably a matter of another 5 or 10 minutes. But I'm going to stop there. When you obviously take the tapes off, I think they look lovely, and it's a lovely reference document. Do write down on the tapes what you've done, and then transfer it onto the white like I've done here. So you've got it, you've got it to refer to when you come to do his painting. Okay.